Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. How many times have you felt a shift in the room? A look, a word left unspoken, or an action left undone that left you questioning your worth? When someone plays with your feelings silently, it doesn't come with loud accusations or open wounds. No, it's subtle. It's quiet. It's like a storm gathering in the distance that you can't quite see, but you can feel. See, silent manipulation is one of the most dangerous games. It doesn't come with a referee or rules, but here's the thing: you can't control how someone treats you, but you can control how you respond. When people toy with your emotions, they're often projecting their own insecurities. It's not about you, it's about their inability to deal with their own truths. You've got to recognize that. Don't let their shadows dim your light. But here's the hard part: silence can make you second guess yourself. It makes you wonder, did I do something wrong? Am I not enough? Don't fall for that trap. You are enough. You've always been enough. Their silence is not a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of their inability to respect it. Now, I'm not saying you confront everyone who makes you feel this way. No, I'm saying confront yourself. Confront the part of you that thinks it needs to shrink to make room for someone else's comfort. Don't apologize for standing in your truth, for protecting your peace, and for demanding the respect you deserve, even if it means walking away. When someone is playing games with your feelings, it's not your job to play along. Your job is to rise above it. Don't respond with bitterness, but don't respond with weakness either. Respond with clarity. Respond with confidence. Respond by knowing your worth and acting like it. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. Stop making excuses for their silence, their disregard, their games. Stand tall, even when it hurts. Speak up, even if your voice shakes. Walk away, even if your legs feel heavy. Remember this: your peace is non-negotiable. Your heart, your mind, your spirit, they are sacred. Don't let anyone tiptoe around your soul like it's a playground. So when they play silently, you move decisively. And you do it with grace, strength, and dignity. Because you're not just anyone, you're someone, and that someone is worth everything. Thank you. Silent manipulation is one of the most subtle yet impactful ways people can undermine someone's emotions and self-worth. Unlike overt forms of control or criticism, silent manipulation operates in the shadows, weaving its way into interactions in a manner that often leaves the recipient questioning their reality. It's the tone in someone's voice, the deliberate withholding of affection, the unspoken tension in a room. It's the kind of behavior that doesn't announce itself but still leaves a mark. Recognizing it requires an acute awareness of both your emotions and the dynamics around you. At its core, silent manipulation often thrives on ambiguity. It is not about what is said, but what is left unsaid. A person employing this tactic might not openly criticize you, but they may withhold praise or acknowledgement in situations where you would reasonably expect it. They might not accuse you directly, but their passive-aggressive comments or subtle insinuations can make you feel as though you've done something wrong. Over time, this kind of behavior can create a fog of self-doubt, where you begin to second-guess your actions, words, and even your own perception of reality. This type of manipulation is particularly insidious because it is hard to pin down. A sharp word or an obvious slight can be addressed directly, but how do you confront someone for the things they don't say or do? The lack of clear, actionable grievances often makes the recipient feel as though they are overreacting. This is where the manipulator gains their power, by making you question whether your feelings are valid in the first place. Because when someone acts distant, avoids eye contact, or gives you the silent treatment, it can stir up anxiety and insecurity. You find yourself wondering, did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? This uncertainty becomes the tool through which silent manipulators exert control. As recognizing silent manipulation means paying close attention to patterns of behavior. A single instance of someone being quiet or reserved might not mean anything, but if it becomes a recurring theme, it is worth examining. Are they consistently withholding communication or affection when things don't go their way? Do they use silence or avoidance as a way to punish you or make you feel guilty? These patterns can be subtle but are often revealing. The goal of the manipulator is not always to cause outright harm, but to gain an upper hand in the relationship by keeping you off balance. Another hallmark of silent manipulation is the way it often forces you to carry the emotional burden of the relationship. Instead of addressing issues openly, the manipulator shifts the weight of the problem onto you. You become the one who has to figure out what's wrong, apologize for things you may not have done, or work to restore harmony. This dynamic can leave you feeling drained and disempowered. Over time, it can erode your sense of self as you prioritize their unspoken needs over your own well-being. Recognizing silent manipulation also requires an understanding of your own emotional responses. Pay attention to moments when you feel confused, anxious, or guilty without a clear reason. These feelings can be indicators that someone is subtly trying to manipulate your emotions. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Silent manipulators rely on the fact that their behavior is hard to call out. They count on you to internalize your discomfort rather than voice it. The act of simply acknowledging that manipulation is taking place is a powerful step toward breaking its hold. Empathy and kindness can sometimes make it harder to recognize silent manipulation. People with a naturally compassionate disposition often give others the benefit of the doubt, assuming their actions stem from misunderstanding rather than intent. While this is a commendable quality, it can also make you more susceptible to manipulative behavior. Recognizing manipulation doesn't mean abandoning your empathy, it means balancing it with self-awareness and boundaries. You can extend understanding to someone without excusing their attempts to undermine you. It's important to remember that silent manipulation can come from anyone: a friend, a partner, a colleague, or even a family member. It is not confined to specific types of relationships or personalities. What matters is how you respond once you recognize it. The key is not to allow their subtle tactics to define your emotional state. Silent manipulation thrives in the absence of clarity, so by identifying it for what it is, you begin to take back control. The first step is awareness, and with awareness comes the power to protect your emotional health. When someone manipulates your feelings, acts out in silence, or engages in behavior that leaves you questioning your worth, it's easy to internalize their actions. The natural instinct is to think, what did I do wrong? Or why are they treating me this way? But the truth is, their behavior isn't about you, it's about them. Understanding this is a profound shift in perspective that can free you from unnecessary guilt, self-doubt, and the emotional turmoil caused by their actions. At the heart of this behavior lies their own unresolved emotions, insecurities, or struggles. People who manipulate or act out in subtle ways often lack the tools or maturity to express themselves directly. Instead of communicating openly, they resort to behaviors that put the emotional burden on others. This isn't a reflection of your shortcomings, it's a sign of their inability to process and handle their own issues in a healthy way. Recognizing this can help you separate their actions from your self-worth. Many people project their internal struggles onto those around them. A person who feels insecure might try to make others feel uncertain to level the emotional playing field. Someone who struggles with a fear of abandonment might push others away before they have the chance to leave. These actions often stem from fear, shame, or unresolved pain that they have not addressed. While their behavior might hurt you, it's important to remember that it's not rooted in who you are, but in their own struggles. This understanding doesn't excuse their actions, but it does provide clarity. When you realize their behavior isn't about you, it becomes easier to avoid taking it personally. Taking someone's actions to heart gives their behavior more power than it deserves. By internalizing their issues, you end up carrying emotional weight that doesn't belong to you. Recognizing that their behavior is a reflection of them, not you, allows you to release that burden and focus on maintaining your emotional well-being. It's also worth noting that people often act out in silence or subtle ways because they are uncomfortable with vulnerability. They may not know how to express their feelings, or they might fear the consequences of being open. For some, manipulating others' emotions becomes a coping mechanism, a way to feel in control when they otherwise feel powerless. Again, this is not about you. Their inability to communicate or be vulnerable stems from their personal history, fears, and experiences. Your role is not to fix them or absorb their pain, but to protect your own peace while understanding where their behavior might come from. Sometimes their actions might be a response to your success, happiness, or strength. People who feel inadequate or insecure might act out because your light shines a little too brightly for their comfort. They might try to dim your confidence through subtle jabs, passive-aggressive comments, or withdrawal. In these moments, it's crucial to remind yourself that their discomfort with your success is not your responsibility. You are not responsible for managing their insecurities or making yourself smaller to make them feel better. Understanding that their behavior isn't about you also means resisting the urge to fix or change them. It's tempting to think, if I just say the right thing or do the right thing, they'll stop. But the truth is, their behavior won't change until they decide to address their own issues. You cannot heal someone who doesn't want to heal themselves. Trying to do so will only drain your energy and leave you feeling frustrated and unfulfilled. It's one of the most empowering realizations is that you are not the cause of someone else's behavior, nor are you the solution. You are responsible for your actions, your boundaries, and your emotional health, nothing more. It's when someone acts in ways that manipulate or hurt you, it is not a reflection of your value, but of their struggles. This awareness can help you create emotional distance, allowing you to protect your well-being without carrying the weight of their issues. It's also helpful to approach these situations with compassion, not for the purpose of excusing their actions, but to free yourself from resentment. Recognizing that their behavior comes from a place of pain or fear can help you respond with grace rather than anger. Compassion doesn't mean tolerating mistreatment, it means understanding without internalizing. It means setting boundaries while maintaining empathy for their humanity. Ultimately, understanding that their behavior isn't about you is a form of liberation. It allows you to disengage from the emotional games they might be playing and focus on what truly matters: your peace, your growth, and your happiness. When you stop taking your actions personally, you reclaim your power and create space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Affirming your self-worth is one of the most important acts of self-preservation and self-love you can undertake, especially when faced with people or situations that challenge your sense of value. It is easy to let others' actions, opinions, or treatment make you question your place in the world. But your worth is not defined by external factors, it is an intrinsic part of who you are. To affirm it is to stand firm in your truth, no matter how others may try to undermine or dismiss it. Your self-worth is not determined by someone's approval or acceptance. Too often, people tie their value to how others perceive them. If someone treats them poorly, they might think they deserve it. If someone doesn't recognize their achievements, they may believe their efforts weren't good enough. But this way of thinking places the power over your self-worth in someone else's hands, leaving you vulnerable to manipulation and disappointment. To affirm your self-worth means to reclaim that power and recognize that your value is not dependent on anyone else's opinion. This affirmation starts with recognizing and embracing your unique qualities. You are a combination of strengths, talents, experiences, and aspirations that no one else possesses. These attributes make you valuable simply because they exist. Whether or not someone acknowledges them does not diminish their importance. When you affirm your self-worth, you accept yourself fully, not just the polished, confident parts, but also the parts that feel uncertain or flawed. It's about embracing your humanity and recognizing that imperfection is not a weakness, but a part of your beauty. One of the key aspects of affirming your self-worth is rejecting the need for comparison. It is easy to look at others and think they're more successful, more attractive, more confident than I am. But comparison is a thief of joy and a destroyer of self-esteem. The truth is, everyone is walking their own path, and their journey has nothing to do with yours. Your worth is not diminished by someone else's success, just as it isn't elevated by their failures. By focusing on your own growth and celebrating your unique journey, you strengthen your sense of self-worth and free yourself from the toxic cycle of comparison. Affirming your self-worth also means setting boundaries and refusing to tolerate mistreatment. People who disrespect you or manipulate your feelings often thrive on your willingness to accept less than you deserve. When you affirm your worth, you make a conscious decision not to settle for relationships, situations, or environments that compromise your dignity or peace of mind. Boundaries are a powerful declaration of self-respect. They signal to others and to yourself that you know your value and will not allow it to be diminished. This process requires unlearning the habit of seeking validation from others. It is natural to want to be liked or appreciated, but relying on external validation for your sense of worth can be dangerous. When your value is tied to someone else's opinion, it becomes fragile, easily shattered by criticism or neglect. Affirming your self-worth means learning to validate yourself. Instead of waiting for someone to tell you you're enough, you tell yourself, I am enough. Instead of looking for approval, you give it to yourself. This internal validation is a foundation that cannot be shaken by outside forces. Another important element of affirming your self-worth is practicing self-compassion. Too often, people are their own harshest critics, holding themselves to impossible standards and berating themselves for every perceived shortcoming. This kind of self-talk erodes self-esteem and reinforces feelings of inadequacy. To affirm your self-worth, you must replace judgment with kindness. Treat yourself with the same compassion and understanding you would offer a dear friend. Celebrate your efforts, forgive your mistakes, and remind yourself that you are worthy of love and respect simply because you exist. It is also important to surround yourself with people who uplift and support you. While your self-worth ultimately comes from within, the energy of those around you can either bolster or undermine it. Choose relationships that honor your value, challenge you to grow, and celebrate your achievements. Let go of connections that make you feel small or unworthy. The company you keep should reflect the respect and love you have for yourself. Affirming your self-worth is not a one-time act, but a continuous practice. Life will inevitably present challenges and moments of doubt, but your commitment to recognizing your value can anchor you through those storms. By affirming your worth daily through positive self-talk, intentional boundaries, and acts of self-care, you build resilience against external forces that may try to shake your confidence. Ultimately, affirming your self-worth is an act of self-liberation. It allows you to show up authentically in the world, unapologetically owning who you are. It is a declaration that you are deserving of love, respect, and fulfillment not because of what you do or how others see you, but because of who you are. When you embrace this truth, you unlock a sense of freedom and empowerment that no one can take away. Responding with confidence and clarity is a powerful way to navigate situations where your feelings are being undermined or manipulated. It's a declaration of your self-respect and a rejection of the confusion or self-doubt that others might try to impose on you. When someone's behavior challenges your peace or questions your worth, the way you respond sets the tone, not just for how they treat you moving forward, but for how you affirm your own value. Confidence and clarity are not about being confrontational or aggressive. They are about standing firm in your truth and communicating it with purpose and grace. Confidence begins with an unshakable belief in your right to be treated with respect. This doesn't mean you won't experience doubt or frustration, but it means you recognize your worth despite those feelings. When someone tries to manipulate or diminish you, the natural reaction might be to shrink, to avoid conflict, or to question yourself. But responding with confidence means choosing not to let their behavior dictate your emotions or actions. It's about grounding yourself in the understanding that their attempts to control or confuse you are not a reflection of who you are, but of their own struggles. Clarity in your response is equally important. Manipulation often thrives on ambiguity, on unspoken words, unclear intentions, and emotional fog. When someone plays with your feelings, it's easy to fall into their web of uncertainty, trying to decode their actions or overanalyzing your own. Responding with clarity means cutting through that fog. It means being direct, honest, and intentional in your words and actions. Instead of engaging in their games, you choose to communicate in a way that leaves no room for misunderstanding. This kind of clarity not only protects you from further manipulation, but also signals to the other person that you will not be swayed by their tactics. For example, if someone gives you the silent treatment to provoke guilt or anxiety, a confident and clear response might involve addressing the situation calmly and directly. Instead of tiptoeing around their behavior or internalizing it, you might say, "I've noticed you've been distant. If there's something on your mind, I'd like to talk about it." Setting standards for how you're treated is an essential act of self-respect and self-care. It establishes the foundation for your relationships and ensures that your interactions with others align with your values, needs, and boundaries. When you set clear standards, you are not only defining what you expect from others, but also demonstrating how much you value yourself. It's not about controlling other people, it's about making a choice to prioritize your emotional and mental well-being by refusing to tolerate behavior that undermines it. One of the first steps in setting standards is understanding your own worth. You cannot expect others to treat you with respect if you haven't first recognized your own value. A deep sense of self-worth helps you identify the kind of treatment you deserve and reinforces the idea that you are worthy of kindness, fairness, and honesty in all your relationships. This self-awareness becomes the compass that guides your boundaries and ensures you don't settle for less than you deserve. It's important to remember that setting standards is not about being rigid or unreasonable, it's about clarity. People cannot meet expectations they don't know exist. By communicating your standards clearly, you remove ambiguity and create a framework for mutual respect. For example, if you value honesty, make it known that dishonesty is a deal breaker for you. If reliability matters to you, express the importance of follow-through in your relationships. This doesn't mean issuing ultimatums, it means having open, honest conversations about what you need to feel respected and secure. When you set standards, you also teach others how to treat you. Your behavior serves as a model for what is acceptable in your interactions. If you allow disrespect, inconsistency, or manipulation to go unchecked, you unintentionally signal that this treatment is acceptable. Conversely, when you enforce your boundaries and address inappropriate behavior, you send a powerful message about your expectations. This doesn't require confrontation or anger. It can be done calmly and assertively. For instance, if someone speaks to you in a disrespectful tone, you can say, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way. Let's try to have this conversation respectfully." This kind of response not only reinforces your standards, but also sets the tone for healthier communication moving forward. Enforcing your standards is as important as setting them. Boundaries and expectations mean little if they are not upheld. When someone crosses a line, it's crucial to address it promptly. Ignoring boundary violations or repeatedly giving people a pass can weaken your position and invite further mistreatment. This doesn't mean responding with hostility, it means standing firm in your boundaries and reaffirming them when necessary. For example, if a friend consistently cancels plans at the last minute without explanation, you might say, "I value our time together, but when plans are canceled last minute, it makes me feel unimportant. If something comes up, I'd appreciate more notice in the future." This approach is respectful yet assertive, leaving no room for ambiguity about your expectations. Setting standards also involves making difficult choices when those standards are not met. Sometimes people will test your boundaries or fail to respect your expectations despite repeated attempts to address the issue. In such cases, you may need to distance yourself or even end the relationship. This can be one of the hardest parts of setting standards, as it often involves walking away from people or situations you care about. However, holding on to relationships that continually violate your boundaries ultimately harms your self-esteem and emotional health. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, it is a testament to your commitment to honoring your worth. It's important to note that setting standards is not just about how others treat you, it's also about how you treat yourself. If you demand respect from others but constantly engage in negative self-talk or neglect your own needs, you're sending conflicting messages about your value. Practicing self-respect reinforces your standards and sets an example for how others should treat you. Take time for self-care, speak kindly to yourself, and honor your own boundaries. When you show up for yourself consistently, others are more likely to do the same. The process of setting standards can sometimes feel uncomfortable, especially if you're used to prioritizing others' needs over your own. You might worry about being seen as difficult or fear rejection from people who resist your boundaries. But the reality is that people who genuinely care about you will respect your standards, even if it requires adjustment on their part. Those who push back or refuse to honor your boundaries are revealing that they are not invested in a healthy, balanced relationship. This clarity, while painful, is a gift that allows you to focus your energy on relationships that uplift and support you. Ultimately, setting standards is an act of empowerment. It's a declaration that your well-being matters and that you will not compromise it for the sake of others. It's a reminder that you have the right to surround yourself with people who value and respect you. By setting clear standards and standing by them, you create a life filled with relationships and experiences that align with your worth, fostering a sense of peace and fulfillment that no one can take away. Moving with strength and dignity is an approach to life that reflects self-respect, emotional resilience, and an unshakable belief in your worth. It's not about avoiding pain or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing grace and composure even in the face of challenges or adversity. When others attempt to undermine you, play with your feelings, or treat you unfairly, moving with strength and dignity becomes a powerful response, a way to assert your boundaries, maintain your integrity, and protect your peace without stooping to their level. Strength is not just about endurance, it's about knowing when to stand your ground and when to walk away. It takes strength to confront situations or people that challenge you, but it also takes strength to choose silence over unnecessary arguments, to prioritize your peace over proving a point, and to recognize when your energy is better spent elsewhere. Moving with strength means being intentional in your responses rather than reacting impulsively to the actions of others. It is the ability to choose your battles wisely, focusing on what truly matters and letting go of what doesn't deserve your attention. Dignity, on the other hand, is about carrying yourself with self-respect regardless of how others treat you. It's easy to lose your composure when someone disrespects or hurts you, but responding with dignity means refusing to let their behavior define yours. It's about holding your head high and staying true to your values, even when others fail to meet the standards of decency. Dignity is not a performance for others, it's an internal assurance that you are worthy of respect, and you will not compromise your principles or integrity for anyone. One of the key elements of moving with strength and dignity is maintaining control over your emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing how you feel or pretending to be unaffected by difficult situations. It means processing your emotions in a way that allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Emotional intelligence plays a significant role here. When you understand your feelings and acknowledge them without letting them take over, you demonstrate both strength and self-mastery. For instance, if someone says or does something hurtful, you might feel anger or sadness, but instead of lashing out, you take a moment to reflect and decide how to respond in a way that aligns with your values. Strength and dignity also come into play when setting and enforcing boundaries. There will always be people who try to test your limits, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Moving with strength means standing firm in your boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. Saying, I value myself too much to allow this behavior to continue, and taking action to protect your well-being. Moving with dignity means communicating your boundaries respectfully and clearly without resorting to hostility or aggression. It's about showing respect for yourself and others even when enforcing those boundaries requires difficult conversations or decisions. Another important aspect of moving with strength and dignity is learning to walk away when necessary. Not every situation or relationship is meant to be salvaged, and sometimes the strongest, most dignified choice you can make is to let go. This doesn't mean giving up, it means recognizing when staying would cost you more than you're willing to pay your peace, your self-respect, or your happiness. Just walking away with dignity means leaving without bitterness or resentment, knowing you've done everything you could and that you deserve better. It's a powerful reminder that your value is not tied to anyone's approval or presence in your life. As in moments of adversity, moving with strength and dignity also involves finding balance between vulnerability and resilience. Strength doesn't mean pretending to be invulnerable, it means allowing yourself to feel and heal while refusing to let challenges break you. Dignity means sharing your struggles with trusted people in a way that honors your humanity without compromising your privacy or self-respect. It's about acknowledging your pain but not letting it define you. Another key element of this approach is staying focused on your growth and purpose. When you prioritize your goals, values, and aspirations, the opinions or actions of others become less significant. Moving with strength and dignity means keeping your eyes on what truly matters rather than being distracted by negativity or drama. It's about choosing progress over pettiness and personal evolution over temporary satisfaction. Self-awareness is also crucial in this journey. To move with strength and dignity, you must understand who you are and what you stand for. This clarity helps you remain grounded even when external circumstances are chaotic or challenging. When you know your worth and are confident in your values, you're less likely to be swayed by criticism or manipulated by others. Instead, you can navigate life's challenges with a calm assurance that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. Ultimately, moving with strength and dignity is about staying true to yourself. It's about knowing that no matter what happens or how others behave, you have the power to choose how you respond. It's about rising above negativity without losing your authenticity or compassion. By embodying strength and dignity, you create a life rooted in self-respect, resilience, and grace, inspiring others to treat you and themselves with the same respect.